I honestly don't know what to do anymore. I'm honestly just getting sick of covering Dreamcast Guy. This is the third video I've had to do on him. Like, it is insane that he has had this many bad takes consistently. So, you know what, I might as well do another video on him and then we'll actually cover someone else. I kinda wanna cover Harmon Smith again. And the reason why we are making a video on Dreamcast Guy is because he's still going around saying how Call of Duty being on Game Pass is somehow bad. I didn't know having more options to play a possibly bad or good game at a cheaper price is somehow bad for the consumer. Why doesn't he understand that most people don't want to pay $70 for games that may or may not be good? Don't get me wrong, there are some absolutely good reasons why this could be bad in some regards. Just Dreamcast Guy doesn't understand why it could be bad, or can't explain why it's bad. And don't get me wrong, there is some absolute fair criticism towards Game Pass, mainly when it comes down to its value. There is not many games that are actually worth the purchase of Game Pass. It's only worth the purchase if you want to play a game for a cheaper price, and then if you like that game, you can choose to purchase it. There's some actual criticism on the value of Game Pass. It just doesn't have enough stuff that would actually make me want to purchase it right now. So there you go. There's some actual criticism, not just something that you made up off the top of your head. So anyway, let's go take a look at your video.
What's up, gamers? Dreamcast Guy here, and today we're talking about Xbox.
Yes, today we are talking about Xbox, not like you've been doing that for the last month.
Because it just feels like Microsoft is attempting a very dangerous gamble right now. Just a few minutes ago, they announced that Call of Duty is coming to Xbox Game Pass.
Yes, a game coming to Xbox Game Pass is dangerous. It's so dangerous, in fact, we need to call the feds just because of how dangerous it could be. Who knew playing a game at a cheaper price through a subscription service instead of spending $70 is somehow bad? I want you to think about that. It's somehow bad that you get to play a game for a cheaper price because somehow he thinks you can't purchase games anymore. You still have the option to do it, Dreamcast Guy. Here, I'll give you an example on how this could go. People that get the game through Game Pass may be more likely to spend money on microtransactions since they don't have much of an investment into the game. Compare that to people that spend $70 on a game. For example, I play War Thunder for free, so I do occasionally spend money on it because I have no financial investment in playing the game. All content is available to me. And if they did something similar to that, which Game Pass is really cheap so people, have somewhat of an investment, you can see how this could maybe get people to spend money on microtransactions after the game's launch. Of course, War Thunder isn't the best example. You could probably look at other games on Game Pass where you could find that as other live service and just take a look at it that way, but you get where I'm coming from. You spend less money at the start, you may have more of an incentive to spend money in whatever item shop you desire.
And while people are initially extremely excited, I think this comes with some goods and some bads. And I want to discuss why this is such an interesting experiment that could lead to the death of Xbox.
I really just have to ask, why is it always Game Pass being targeted? Don't get me wrong, you can look at many issues with Game Pass and other subscription services, but whenever there's negative talk about any subscription services, it's always Game Pass. No one looks at Ubi Plus, nobody looks at EA Play, nobody looks at other subscription services related to games. It's always Game Pass being targeted. Like, I'm fine with you criticizing it, but when are we gonna start criticizing paying for online? Like, come on, that's a big problem. Going to PC has really opened my eyes and just made it like, no way that I actually spent my time paying for online. Like, it is insane that I even thought of doing that as a reasonable idea. Like, there are just so many things you should criticize about these subscription services from PS Plus, Xbox Live, or whatever it's called now. That shouldn't be a thing. But no, everyone's focusing on Game Pass and blah blah blah. You get it, everyone just seems to keep talking about Game Pass and nothing else, let's keep accepting my slop from Sony or whatever other company I buy subscription services from.
Let's discuss. Hi, I hope you're having a great day. If you could, give this video a like and subscribe.
For those guys that don't speak English, what he's trying to say is gimme money, 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 gimme money. Also, help me reach 2,000 subscribers. Please do it. Hit the subscribe button. Gimme money, gimme money, gimme money, gimme money, gimme money.
Money, 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 money.
If you haven't already. Now let's start with the extreme positive of this. For the last couple of years, it feels like Microsoft is kind of afraid to brag. Like when you actually consider it, Nintendo will talk about their games selling tens of millions of copies. Of course, we see stuff like Sony really loves to do a victory lap and talk about the fact that they have 55 million PS5 sold, but Microsoft even when they do release a good game or do something actually cool like Hi-Fi Rush, they don't take the time to actually flex.
Well, that's because their sales are down, their Gamepass subscriptions are down, and alongside that, they only brag about stuff when it gives them a high play count, like I believe Palworld and Starfield, and that was it. That's the last thing I could remember.
This, to me, is maybe one of the biggest Xbox flexes I've ever seen, because they're announcing that the next Call of Duty is going to be on Game Pass before we've even actually seen it. Like, we haven't even actually seen gameplay or multiplayer or anything, and to me that's kind of interesting. And if you look at the replies, a lot of people are kind of reflecting back this air of confidence. Game Pass subscriptions are about to skyrocket. Xbox continues to be the best console for me. Huge W for Xbox.
See, a lot of people seem to be very happy with this outcome. It benefits them, the consumer. I wonder how you will turn this into being a negative.
Now, of course, if you scroll down here, a lot of people are like, hey, great win for those who play COD. Some people are like, oh, this sucks. This isn't going to be good. Look, even if you don't particularly like Call of Duty, I definitely think there's been more bad Call of Duties than good Call of Duties, but undeniably, this is a completely massive W. This is a billion-dollar franchise. The last couple of years, we have seen Microsoft making just crazy amounts of acquisitions. Not just stuff like Blizzard Activision, not just stuff like Bethesda. It's also about those smaller deals, stuff like building up Lionhead before they shut it down. And then, of course, doing things like constructing 343 Industries to build out the future of Halo, or even things like buying Double Fine. Clearly, the point is to bolster the ability of Xbox Game Pass to make money.
Wow, it's almost like we didn't know that was their strategy. Get a bunch of studios, add all their games to the service, and get people to subscribe to it because it's going to be cheaper than buying all those games at full price whenever you want them. I didn't expect you to tell us exactly how the business strategy was going to go for Game Pass, my bad. Why are you bothering to tell us this? We already know what they're trying to do. We don't need an explanation like, oh, they're going to go do it, they're going to go do this. Like, we already know. If you know how the strategy is, they're just going to do it. Who cares? This isn't necessary. You can cut this part out of the video.
Now, I have seen some journalists chiming in with a lot of the raw numbers, because clearly the point of this is to get people to not just sign up for Game Pass, but those who have yet to start this generation. The raw numbers have actually been kind of shocking, but there has been a lot of reports that, 50 million people are still gaming on their PlayStation 4s. This is coming to PlayStation 4. There's already been some leaks that is coming to PS4, PS5, PC, and Xbox.
Well, I'm sure there's a myriad of issues on why that's happening. First of all, you haven't really offered an incentive to upgrade to the newer generation, well, the current generation, I should say. There's really no point. Not many games are actually just releasing on those platforms and actually offering you an incentive, and I think Sony has the most next-gen games, or the only available in the current-gen games. I could be wrong. But for the most part, there's just no real incentive. If all the games are going to release on my platform from the last generation, why should I bother upgrading? And if they're just going to get this Call of Duty, what would give them another incentive to even upgrade? Like what, get extra FPS? Like, no one really on console really seems to give a shit about that FPS increase for the most part, and if they wanted that, they would have got that console long before. So good on them if they're going to bring it to the older platforms like PS4 and Xbox One.
So it sounds like they could actually get some people to go straight from PlayStation 4 to Xbox. At least that seems like kind of the idea behind this. Now, let's talk math. So Xbox internally, during this big court case they had last year with the FTC, they talked a lot about how they're going to make their money back. If you're purchasing a company like Activision for $70 billion, how do you even regrow that amount of lost cash? And it turns out they did just talk the math. They talked about how much they would need to make per year. So it sounds like what they need is at least 2.5 million subs for this to make sense. Optimally, about 4.7 in a perfect world, 11 million to fully recover the lost sales in the first month. So essentially...
So you're telling me they want to get roughly a couple million subscribers in the first month of that being on Game Pass. I don't think that's going to work. You're just going to have to wait a couple years to make all the money back. COD's a huge moneymaker. Just game sales on other platforms would make you more than enough over time. Because PlayStation doesn't have access to Xbox Game Pass, many of these other places where you have it don't really bother using Game Pass like PC. Like, imagine if Steam had Game Pass, you'd probably get yourself a lot more subscribers. Like, I don't know why you would expect someone to be able to get all this money back within the first month just through Game Pass subscribers when you're not accounting for purchases, other platforms' purchases. Of course, they're only going to get 70% of most of these platforms, which for the most part, to get back that 70 billion from the entire acquisition, it would probably take them a couple years. I don't know how much money Microsoft makes, but it's not going to happen in the first month. That's crazy.
Shows the fact that this does just come down to trying to make the most money back in the shortest amount possible to keep Microsoft from probably shutting down Xbox. And a lot of people are...
I don't get why people are going to think that Microsoft's going to shut down Xbox. I don't think it's possible. You don't just spend 70 billion and get shut down and not make a profit from that acquisition. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, I want you to think about it for a second. You spend $70 billion, you want to make it back through gaming or through other ways of just getting that money back. Then you shut them down because they didn't make it in the first month, or they didn't do it in a fast enough time. That just doesn't make any sense. You could just go third party instead of producing a console. Why do you think both Sony and Microsoft are already third party? They bring all their games to other platforms because it makes them more money. There's no point being exclusive anymore because no one supports it. No one likes it. And if you do, you're a bit strange.
Saying there's no way they're going to achieve that. There's no way this is going to lead to more Xbox Game Pass subscriptions. Like, I am a big believer in the fact that Game Pass doesn't suck, but it also feels kind of irrelevant. I mean, you can play games on PC, you can play games on your Steam Deck, you can play games on your PS5 or your Nintendo Switch, but like Xbox Game Pass, the original advertisements of it made it seem like we were going to be getting Xbox exclusive games, stuff that you couldn't get anywhere else, like Starfield and Hellblade and Minecraft or whatever, and they would be best on Xbox. And I guess that just doesn't feel true.
I can somewhat agree with what you're saying, but I kind of have to disagree with it for the most part, purely because I don't remember Game Pass being advertised as, you're only going to find this on Game Pass, and it's only going to be on Game Pass, and it's only going to be better on Xbox. But at the same time, I can absolutely see them saying, yeah, it's going to be better on Xbox. Every company does that. Just like how Sony says, our games are going to be better on PlayStation. It's a pretty normal thing to say, but saying that it's going to be better because it's on Game Pass, I don't remember them saying that. I just remember them advertising Game Pass as, hey look, you want to spend less money on games? Well, we'll give you the option too if you want to get into our subscription service. That was pretty much it. So I think I'm going to leave the video here. Methcast guy, your face looks like the surface of the moon. And on top of that, who cares how people spend their money? If they want to go on Game Pass, so be it. If they want to use it, so be it, just do it. Who cares at the end of the day? I honestly can't be bothered to cover the last bit of Dreamcast video. It's just going to be him repeating what he said for the last two videos. So I think we're going to leave it here. I'll see you all in the next video. I hope you have a great day.